Nze omukyala ayasosolebwa ku mulimo ne bangoba ku mulimo.
Daphne Kobsinja, a 40-year-old resident of Hoima, shares her heart-wrenching story of being sacked from her workplace after being forced to undergo an HIV test. When the test results came back positive, it not only affected her but also her children and friends.
Olunaku olwo bwe bangoba ku mulimo nga bamaze okunkebera bannange nyawulira bubi. Kale saakitwala nti baakola bubi. Nyatandika okwesalira omusango nengamba abangoba tebalina musango. Nze alina omusango kubanga si bo bansiiga siriimu. Abalala nga beebuuza kiki kino kye bakoze. Ate nange nyali nga mbalaba nga bakaaba ate nange nga nkaaba.
As a single mother, Kobsinja found it challenging to care for her children, and the numerous questions she faced were overwhelming.
Nina abaana bana bonna bali mu ssomero. Abaana abo nze mbaweerera school fees, nze nyesasulira nnyumba n'emmere. Kubanga omulimu ogwo gwali gunyamba mu bintu ebyo okuweerera abaana buli kimu kyonna nga nkola. Kubanga obangoba nabo baawulira bubi ne bagamba maama ati tokyakola kiki tugenda abeerawo tutya. Abaana nga babeeraawo nembulirawo muwala wange omukulu kubanga ye ali mu senior 5. Nyamanya ye ajja kitegeera ne mugamba omanyi bangobye ku mulimu nti nyina obulwadde bwa siriimu. Naye ate n'atandika kaaba n'agamba mami mali bakugobye nti lwaki obadde oli mulwadde nga toyina maani gakola oba ki. Nagamba nedda oba poliisi ezizaabwe bwe zigamba bwe zityo nange simanyi kubanga tebazindaga. Nze ekyo tebakindaga. Kataawo ne tuddamu naye kaaba ne tukaaba.
However, she eventually accepted her fate and sought counseling and guidance from support organizations.
Engeri gye nnafunamu obwenkane nze nsiima nnyo madamu Robina coordinator wa Hopla ate n'ensiima ne Uganet kubanga banyamba nnyo ne bankansoli ne bampa ku bakansala ne bankansolinga mpulira bulungi nnyo ne bansapootinga mu bintu ebirala emmere buli kimu kyonna kati mpulirako emirembe kubanga nedda saddayo kubanga abakikola bali baagala kukola ki ndeyo ku mulimo naye saakiwuliramu obwenkanya nti nyinza oddayo ku mulimo ne bampisa bulungi saddayo ku mulimo. Nedda sinaabafunawo okukola walala naye nina essuubi njafunawo kyokola ngenda funa kyokola mbeeraawo nga nyeekozesa oba bw'aba aliyo ng'omuntu alina omulimu ng'asobola kumpa omulimo nakyo kiba kikola.
Kobsinja appeals to the public to be cautious about their health, HIV testing, and adhering to the ABC abstinence, be faithful, and use condom method.
Nawulira bubi naye engeri entambula gye ntambuddemu nyali nga saagaddewo omusajja omu nga abasajja bali different nemanya natambula bubi nyakkiriza kiki kye nyakola okusooka nenkiriza era emyaka egyo gye bansangiramu obulwadde tetwali nga tutandikirako eddagala twasookeranga ku septrin namala ebbanga nnene nga ndi ku septrin. Kale nkubiriza abaana abato tebatambula nnyo mu multi partners nga tebanabo okwekebeza nabo, kubanga nze saakimanya singa nyasooka okwekebeza mulyamu abo lusi tenyandifuna obulwadde obwo.
Unfortunately, Kobsinje's story is not an isolated incident. Many people living with HIV/AIDS in Uganda face stigma and discrimination, which can lead to denial of health care, employment, education and freedom of movement. According to recent data, 40% of people living with HIV globally report being forced to undergo medical procedures, and over 50% of people aged 15 to 49 in 25 countries hold discriminatory attitudes toward those living with HIV. In response to these challenges, Uganet, the Uganda AIDS Commission, civil society organizations, the media, police, and other stakeholders convened to discuss lasting solutions to address stigma and discrimination.
In addressing the barriers that we see, like stigma and discrimination, because it's one of those major barriers that is barring people from accessing services, to go for testing, to access this treatment. We have heard of very many stories. People out there will get their drugs and not take them, or take them in hiding and therefore not take them at the right time. In such instances, someone is not going to adhere. So we want to deal with the environment, the social issues around people living with HIV, for them to be able to take their drugs freely, to be able to suppress their viral load, and that way we achieve the U equals U, which means we cannot, even if they are having intercourse or any other interactions, they are not able to transmit HIV to another person.
We always say we are successful here, but there's always a but. There are things we are not doing well. There's been progress with the 95 targets, and there are other challenges remaining. Some of the challenges I can name about 3. There are many, but in view of what we are doing right now, there is stigma and discrimination. It continues to do what? To prevent individuals from accessing testing, from accessing treatment and care. And then there are specific groups, including adolescent girls, including young women, key populations that are facing higher risks due to socioeconomic vulnerabilities and stigma.
The role of police in addressing stigma and discrimination among people with the living HIV and AIDS is very simple. One, we're supposed to treat everyone equally without being discriminated, whether they come to police as suspects, whether people come to police as victims or as witnesses. We're supposed to treat them the same way. The main purpose is to make sure that we enhance access to justice for victims of violence, and make sure that we hold perpetrators. For the stigma on HIV, I think it is very important that we start having color codes, so that with the color codes, if somebody is HIV positive, I would love to only hear from maybe counsel for the accused person say that, Your Worship, we have the yellow card before us, or the state attorney informing court that, Your Worship, we have a yellow card before us, so that in court we know that the yellow card stands for HIV positive. If it is a pink card, we know that the person is HIV negative. Same as pregnancy. Some victims of defilement do not want to be seen that they are pregnant. Why? Because it's going to affect them in future as they are getting married.
But what do we do? What can Uganet do? We at Equal Opportunities Commission, we have developed vote-specific gender and equity guidelines, and we can work with you to actually get out those issues you'd like to see under the different sectors like health, on HIV and AIDS, which you feel that Minister of Health should not miss out. And for us, when we come to do our...
The public has been advised to follow the law, avoid family negotiations, and allow law enforcement officers to handle cases of stigma and discrimination.
I discourage negotiating because there is a formal justice system in place where we're supposed to arrest the perpetrator and produce him or her in court. So when you negotiate and then this case does not go to court, it means that you're creating a culture of impunity.
Between the stakeholders, sometimes the coordination is not done so well. Of course, resources for investigations is a big problem. And then the fact that we have many cases that keep coming in, but the victims go back down there and they reconcile. So it promotes the impunity in defilement cases.
Uganda remains a high-burden country with a significant number of people living with HIV. While progress has been made in prevention and treatment efforts, more need to be done to address stigma and discrimination. Nagujja Serena, NSTV.